Have you ever noticed how some games just seem to fall off the face of the earth? Upcoming titles that generated massive levels of hype, but have now been forgotten. Why this happens is a question I've been asking myself, and I'd like to explore it more with you in this video. This question is a hard one, and I don't pretend to have all the answers. But let's take a look at a few games which I believe have faded from popularity before they even got a chance to shine. Remember the block-based creative game Hytale? This game is being developed by Hypixel Studios, a team which started off by running a Minecraft server. First announced with a YouTube trailer on December 13th, 2018, the game quickly amassed tens of millions of views. The game seemed almost too good to be true. Some called it a Minecraft 2.0. The hype caused by this trailer was immense, triggering a massive wave of videos discussing the game to pop up all around YouTube. I couldn't wait to see this visual masterpiece of a game. The stars had aligned, and this game seemed to have a great future awaiting it. So, what happened? Here we are, 3.5 years later, still waiting for this game to release. So, where did the hype go? Why has everyone forgotten about this game? I think there is one obvious issue that this game has suffered from: broken promises. The developers seem to be saying that the game was mostly finished at the time of the trailer's creation, due to the addition of a beta link at the end of the trailer. The developers said that the game would release in 2021. Then as the years wore on, that was extended to 2022, and now in 2022, the release date is set to no earlier than 2023. The trailer was likely released too early in development for the team to really know when the game would be finished. The game has probably taken far longer than even the team expected. The immensely anticipated Hollow Knight Silksong by Team Cherry is another perfect example of decaying hype. Due to the success of the first game, this game is probably not going to fail, but the hype surrounding it does appear to be fading. As content creators run out of new information to talk about, they will be forced to play other games, which, in turn, will push the public eye away from Silksong. Hype needs constant feeding, and when that food runs out, the hype can starve. The game developers may have the power to start the hype going, but the community is who keeps it alive. An example of this are prominent Hollow Knight YouTubers, Relia and Mossbag, both of which rely on Silksong information to continue making content. The delay has slowed the YouTubers' growth and has prompted them to take their eyes off Hollow Knight, which in turn will reduce the influence that Team Cherry gets over their audience from content creators. Hollow Knight Silksong obviously was nowhere near to releasing when the announcement trailer was released back in February of 2019. I feel that it was a mistake to release the trailer so early in development. Team Cherry likes to be secretive about their games so as to not spoil too much of the gameplay before release. It might be a better idea to release a trailer with an end in sight, even if that end is 2 years down the line. But even though this might have been the perfect scenario, the real situation is not quite as simple. Silksong was not originally planned as a separate game, but instead as a DLC to Hollow Knight, to fulfill the promise they made in their Kickstarter campaign. But, as the DLC progressed, Team Cherry realized it would be much better if the Hornet DLC was its own game. The difficulty with extending the scope of their work is that they had an obligation to show a product to their backers on Kickstarter. So, even though releasing the trailer early may not have been the perfect solution, it may have been one of the only options Team Cherry had available when deciding whether to release a trailer. As we can see, even the professionals can have a tough time calculating how to get the most out of hype. Hype suffers the most when the community must wait indefinitely with no end in sight. The time scale of indefinite is ambiguous enough that it's easier to forget about the game, which isn't something any developer wants. The release of a trailer can spark a community for a moment, but it doesn't maintain hype when players don't have a release date. It's hard to let your anticipation grow when there is no light at the end of the tunnel. With all that said, setting a release date can be a risky idea if you are likely to miss it, due to how it hurts the hype surrounding a game. Can you think of any other game that suffers from this? I believe one would be Bendy in the Dark Revival, created by Joey Drew Studios. This game is the sequel to the widely renowned game Bendy and the Ink Machine. First mentioned in April of 2019, this game was riding the wave of hype that the first game had created. After how much I loved the first game, I couldn't wait for a continuation of the inky world that the first game had created. With the publishing of a video titled Coming Soon, I foolishly thought I didn't have long to wait. The studio seemed to promise a quick release of the game in the following year. But, as the game had still not released a year later, and the community had little to no new info in months, concerns about the release date were growing. In response to this, Joey Drew Studios released another video in June of 2020, titled The Reason Why Bendy in the Dark Revival is Taking So Long. In a surprise twist, Joey Drew Studios decided to release the game as one finished product, instead of the 5-part release they'd originally announced. It's been over 2 years since that video, and the game hasn't released yet. In fact, we haven't been given much new information at all. So, I suppose we have discovered another reason why hype suffers. When a team has constantly missed their release dates, fans will begin to lose trust, making hype harder to create and sustain. If the developers cry wolf several times, people will stop paying attention and may never check out the final product. In the case of Bendy in the Dark Revival, this has already happened. Many people have no faith that it will ever come out, and YouTubers are even speculating that the game will never release due to financial troubles at the studio. Hype itself seems to come from the community, which is why all these mistakes revolve around losing the community's trust. The developers can only provide the initial spark of hype and cannot possibly sustain it without the help of content creators or even meme creators. These mistakes might not guarantee the failure of these games, but they have certainly hurt the hype surrounding each of these games, and that is an unfortunate prospect for developers who want to market their games successfully. Be it a trend or good marketing, hype around a game is a very valuable asset that, if treated well, can benefit a game greatly, but if mismanaged, can hurt the game immensely. But, as a game developer myself, I just want to remind you other game developers out there, make sure to plan out and utilize that hype to market your game.